Hello everyone! Welcome and thank you for joining this webinar. My name is Myrto Pitsava and I'm an education technology specialist at NUITEQ. My background is in teaching. A big part of my responsibilities as a teacher was working actively to implement the use of digital technology in education. Back when I worked as a teacher, I often felt frustrated by how long it took me to prepare lessons for my students. Even though I tried to use digital tools in the classroom, I felt that a lot of them were not made for the purpose I was using them for. So I found myself wishing there were simpler solutions that would both save me time and be fun and engaging for the children I worked with. Education technology can do just that, which is one of the many reasons I'm thrilled to be a part of NUITEQ, so that I can contribute to the development of educational tools that are actually created to suit the needs of teachers and students. In this webinar, I will be talking about some strategies you can use for a smooth school start, taking advantage of education technology. The webinar is going to be about 45 minutes long, including questions. And if you experience any technical problems, please try refreshing the page. So here is a short summary of what I'm going to talk about. First of all, I will be discussing how education technology can provide you with excellent opportunities to enhance your teaching in the beginning of the school year. As you know, the beginning of a new school year can be very stressful, as there is usually so much to plan and organize. And on top of that, maybe you will be teaching a whole new class. So I'm going to show you some tools that can make this transition easier for you. Education technology can help you create a safe environment for students. It can be used to help students get to know each other better, find out more about rules and expectations, and develop collaboration skills. We'll have a look, for example, at how you can work to prevent bullying. Education technology can also be used to help you organize your work, create lessons easily, and make education even more fun for students. After providing you with some tips on how you can use education technology in your classroom, I will be answering any questions that you might have. Just type them in the form you see on the screen at any time during my presentation, and I will answer them afterwards. I will also be giving you my contact details at the end of this webinar, in case you come up with a question after the webinar is over. For the purposes of this webinar, I'm going to be using Snowflake MultiTeach, an EdTech solution some of you are familiar with. Snowflake MultiTeach is a software collection of apps designed to promote collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, and communication, which are all essential 21st century skills, and to make education more fun. It allows you to use different lesson types in order to customize the appearance and content of your lessons according to your and your students' needs. Now, before we start, please keep in mind that my goal with this webinar is to inspire you and show you just some of the possibilities, a demonstration of what you can do with it. At the end of the webinar, I will give you some links that I think you might find useful, including the link to our detailed online tutorials, if you want to know more about the how. All right, let's get started. First, I want to show you an example of the cards lesson type. It is one of the many different lesson types in Snowflake MultiTeach that allow for the use of images, audio, and video clips. This kind of content supports engaged learning. Cards is a type of lesson your students can use for self-quizzing and exploring information, but here I'm going to be using it to help students learn their classmates' names. which is essential if you're starting the school year with a new class or if you have new students joining an existing group. I'm accessing a lesson that I created earlier by clicking or tapping on the Lessons button in Snowflake. This brings me to a screen with several lessons. I'm going to click on the one I created, called Getting to Know Each Other, by clicking on the green play button. And to show you where that is, I'll use the Annotate feature included in Snowflake MultiTeach. I open the Annotate menu by clicking on the black snowflake icon on the lower left or right corner of the screen. And here's the Annotate feature. I can then choose a color for my pen, and then I draw on the screen, like that. So let me close the Annotate feature by clicking on the cross at the bottom of its menu. And then I'll click on the green button to start the lesson. Now, at the start of an activity, you can get a fun animation or even a YouTube video, and you can skip that if you like, simply by tapping the screen. Then the cards are loaded, and you can flip the cards by clicking or tapping on them. So on one side of the card, you see a photograph of the student, and on the back side I have written their name. For students that cannot read, you can also use a sound file instead, or in addition to text. And let me show you how to do that. Access the menu by tapping on the black snowflake icon and choose Back. This brings you to the Edit screen for your lesson. So here you can see two columns of fields. On the left-hand side, I have entered the photos of the students. And to do that, you click on the green background button, which is under the text field. I'll show you where that is. Here, you have the green background button. And when you click on that, a file browser appears. And then you can choose a photo of your student from your hard drive. Once you've done that, the background button is replaced by the photo of your student. On the right-hand side, I have written their names, but here, by clicking on the green sound button under the field, you can also pick a sound file from your hard drive containing maybe the student's name, the sound recording of your student's name. And you can also customize the appearance of the lesson through the buttons on the right-hand side of the screen. For instance, the color and the size of the letters, and also the background image. Here I've picked space, but you can, for example, choose candy or a different background image. So by using cards, your students can practice each other's names in a fun way. And this is also a way to make sure that every student is seen by his or her classmates. And that increases their visibility in a positive manner. Now, in the beginning of the school year, you probably want to establish certain behaviors among students, such as being kind to one another. You want to help them develop better social interaction skills, and bullying, in particular, is a problem teachers need to work on preventing right from the start of the school year, so that all students feel safe during and after their school days. So let's say that we want to teach students more about bullying, to give them a clearer understanding of the subject and the rules around it. For that, you can use zones, a feature that is unique to Snowflake MultiTeach. Zones is an excellent collaboration tool, and what it does is that it splits the screen in multiple zones so that several students can work with it at the same time, or so that the teacher can show different kinds of content on the screen simultaneously. No other software that we know of offers a similar function to the same extent. Now, in this example, students are going to work in stations around the touchscreen. from my main menu, I press the zones button, and then I get a choice. How many zones do I want to divide my screen in? 1, 2, 4, or 4 when 2 of them are flipped. And flipped zones is ideal for tabletop solutions with multiple kids around the touchscreen. Combined with a tabletop solution, zones is also great for children with special needs. But for now, I will pick 4 so that you can see what I'm doing. So this is what it looks like when you divide the screen in 4 zones. In the lower left-hand side of the screen, I want to start a lesson. Let's pick a lesson about bullying and how to be kind. Now, this lesson type is called spinner, and it is very useful as a conversation starter. So you spin the wheel, and then you talk about the issue that pops up on your screen. Imagine having 2 or 3 students spinning the wheel and talking about the issue on the screen. Now, in the zone next to it, I want to start the media app. And here you can upload, for example, a file that the students can read or a video that they can play. But for now, I want to upload a PDF file. And to do that, I click on the folder icon and I choose Add Files. My file browser appears, and then from here I can pick the file that I want to upload. I have already uploaded a file, PDF file, so I go to the PDF part and pick my file, which I then grab and drag onto the screen. The students can then read this if you click on it and maximize it by clicking on the lower right corner. So you see now the students can read this PDF file. And they can look through the pages, reading statistics about bullying. In the top left zone, I want to open a nodes project. And I will be talking more about nodes and what it can be used for in a minute. But just to introduce it quickly now, nodes is a tool that allows you to create concept maps. And here students can organize their knowledge or maybe free associate around the concept of, for example, bullying. Let me show you how that works. Like this, you pick a topic and then students can free associate around that. Now this fits right in with the back to school activities we have been talking about. And I think that organizing your thoughts this way is great for all students, but especially for visual learners, because you can also customize the colors of the nodes to get a greater visual understanding of the information by clicking on the node that you want to change and picking a color from the menu on the left. You can also lock the nodes project by clicking on the slider button on top of your menu, so that you don't allow any edits if you or your students want to present their concept map for the classroom. Let's move on to the top right zone. In this zone, I want to use Google Docs. So if you're already logged in, then you'll get access to your documents that you have uploaded in Google Docs. And I'm going to open a document that I uploaded earlier, containing an empathy exercise. So here in this document, the students can add their answers by typing them in to different questions, like describe a time when someone's words or actions hurt you. So as you can see, zones is great for a varied approach to learning. Students can rotate around the zones, working with different aspects of the same theme, and that way they can enrich their knowledge about it in a multimodal manner. So as you can see, this Snowflake Multi-Teach exclusive tool is excellent for promoting collaboration between students. For example, by giving them different exercises to do and asking them to work together to write a summary of what they have learned, or to solve a problem that you have given them. Or maybe you can open the browser or YouTube app in one of the zones and have students research a specific subject and use that as a conversation starter about critical thinking. Zones also give students tools that allow them to be creative in their learning and that help them communicate with each other in a variety of ways, both digital and analog. Back when I worked as a teacher, I found it challenging to organize all the information I had about a student. Some of it was in a binder in a locked cabinet somewhere. Some info was lying in a file in a locked drawer somewhere else. Some of it was on my computer. And a lot of it, the less formal but still important stuff, like what a student likes, what they do in their free time and so on, that was stored in my head. Now, if you're anything like me, storing information about students in your head is not the safest way to store information because there is just too much going on in there. I lacked a system that let me put everything in the same logical place. Here I am going to show you a much better alternative so that you can put all the information you need where it is both easy and logical to reach, and where it makes the information more comprehensible to others, which is great if you want to share it with your colleagues or with parents. I'm going to use a Snowflake multi-teach app called Notes, which I talked briefly about earlier. So let's have a closer look. So when you click on the Nodes icon over here, a new Nodes project appears, which has a parent node and 2 child nodes. When Nodes is in edit mode, you have a list of tools on the left-hand side of the screen that allow you to customize the way your project looks by changing the color of each node, for example, like I said before. And edit mode is controlled by the slider button on top of the menu. And I think that this will be an excellent example for illustrating the possibilities offered by Nodes, because here we have some students. I will just move Harry and Melinda to the side so that I can concentrate on Johnny. I move them by grabbing their nodes and dropping them where I want them. So here you see that you have a little plus icon attached to the node. So when you click on that, the node's children appear. And we have, for instance, a node for Johnny's digital portfolio, a node for his emergency contacts, and so on. So you can organize all the information you have about a student in this manner. But for now, I want to open the All About Me node by clicking on this little cross here. And here you can collect information about the child's interests, hobbies, and life in general. And this can help you get to know a child better, but it also allows children to get to know each other better. So one really useful thing you can do here is that you can include different kinds of media in each node. And I'll show you how to do that. Let me just move by grabbing the screen and dragging it to the side so that I get a bit more space here. I switch to edit mode with a slider button on top of the menu. I choose the node I want to add content to. And for this demonstration, I'll pick my family. And you pick edit content from the menu. Here you can see that I have chosen a picture to go with the node. This is Johnny's family. And if you want to add a picture to a node, you click on Add Media under the node, and then you pick a picture from your hard drive. And if you click on the picture itself, you see that a little menu appears next to it, and you can edit the picture in that way, and you can also delete it by clicking on this icon. So you see that Nodes is like a traditional mind map in many ways, but it also allows you to add content like images and links, videos, and much more. So you can collect, let me just close this so that it's out of the way. And you see that you can do a lot of things with Nodes, and one of my favorite things is that you can collect samples of the students' work in their digital portfolios, for instance. So you see here that you can add writing samples, art, literacy projects, math samples, and so on. And you can use this at parent-teacher meetings or when meeting with other teachers. So with Nodes, you can organize and present all the information you have about a student in a very simple way. Snowflake Multi-Teach allows you to create lists containing different lessons and playing all of them in succession. You can also create lists on our Lessons Online website, where you can also send these lists of lessons as assignments to students, for example as homework. Lessons Online allows you to do many of the things that Snowflake Multi-Teach does, but online. It is a powerful tool for organizing your lessons, and it is also an excellent way for students to organize their own work and know what they are expected to do, which promotes a feeling of safety in the beginning of the school year when everything is new and unfamiliar. So let's access the Lessons Online website now through the browser app in Snowflake Multi-Teach. The address is lessons.nuitec.com. And this brings you to the Lessons Online start page. And you see that you have a menu on top of the page. And from this menu, I will click on My Lists. Here I can see all the lists that I have created previously, but now I want to make a new one. So I'll press this green button called Create New List. I'll name the list Getting to Know Each Other Better. And once I'm done typing, I press on the green Create List button. So my list is now ready, but it's empty. I need to add lessons to it. And to do that, I need to go back to the Lessons Online homepage by clicking on the My Lessons button from the top menu. Once you're there, you can look for lessons that other people have created or your own, and you can filter them according to your wishes. So for my purposes, I need to add the cards lesson I created earlier to my new list. Here it is. And once you found your lesson, you click on the Add to List option. You scroll down until you find your list, and you click on the box next to it and Add to List. So now my lesson is on the list. Let's go back to my list by clicking on the top menu. Scroll down to your list. On the list menu to the left, you can now see that I have different options. I can edit the list or play it or send it to students. So I pick the last option, send to students. You see here that I have a few options. I can create a new class or I can select an existing class. So I'll do that right now. I'll select the existing class that I created earlier. So from here, I can decide if I want to send the list of lessons to all the students in the class I picked or to just some of them. by checking or unchecking the box next to their names. I can also decide on a date when the assignment is due by clicking on the text field. And let's pick the 19th of September where this assignment is due. And once you're done, you click on the Send to List button. So now it's done. This list of lessons has been sent out to my students. You can send individual lessons to your students as well, of course, but by creating lists, you can work thematically or approach a subject from many different perspectives in order to help your students understand better. By choosing which students to send the list to, you can easily customize lessons according to the needs of each student and follow their progress. But what if you want to get some feedback from your students on what they thought about a lesson? Or maybe ask them about what they want to learn more about. You can ask them, of course, but not every student feels comfortable giving honest feedback in front of the whole class or the teacher. Maybe you want to find out more about what your students like to do in their free time, or what prior knowledge they have about a concept you're planning on teaching them soon. So Lessons Online gives you the opportunity to create fun and engaging polls, which is a student response system that allows students to answer anonymously from their computers or mobile devices. So let's have a closer look at how to do that. I start by logging onto the Lessons Online website. And as before, you type in the address lessons.nuitec.com. And once you're logged in, you can find a green button marked Create Poll under the Create Lesson button. Here it is. And once you've done that, it brings you to the poll page where you can write a name for your poll. I want to write bullying. And then you press the blue Add a Question button. And from here, you can choose what type of question you want to ask your students. For example, is it a yes or no answer you want from them, or a multiple choice one, or a text one? You can also set a time limit for them. So let's type in a question. Have you learned more about bullying today? And this is, of course, a yes or no kind of question. Once you're done, you press on the Done button at the top left side of the screen. And this brings you back to the starting screen where you can add another question if you like. Let's do that. And now I want to find out if my students would like to know more about bullying. So what would you like to know more about when it comes to bullying? And for this, I need to have a text type of answer where the students can write freely. Again, press the Done button. And when you have written all the questions you want your students to answer, press the Start button at the bottom of the screen. So now your students will be able to access the poll from, for example, their mobile device. And to do that, they write the address ansr.it, and then they have to fill in this the 4-digit ID that you give them, which is the same one that is on top of your screen when you create the poll. So in this example, it is 4861. Their answers will appear on your screen in real time. Now, I'm going to talk about a feature in Snowflake Multi-Teach called YouTube Linked Lessons. It is a feature that would have helped me greatly back when I worked as a teacher. as it would have saved me a lot of time preparing lessons that engage my students' attention. Time that I could have used to connect more with students or to do one of the many other things on my to-do list before the bell rang. And we all have a long list like that, don't we? So the internet is a vast source of information. And video in particular is becoming more and more popular in the classroom, with many teachers using YouTube for instruction. YouTube contains countless educational videos put together by teachers. You can harness that knowledge by pairing YouTube videos to your lessons. In many students' minds, videos are synonymous with entertainment, so by playing a video before your lesson, you are more likely to get their attention. I'll show you an example of this. Access lessons online, either through your own browser or the built-in one in Snowflake MultiTeach. Type in lessons.nuitec.com. And I'm going to access a lesson I created earlier, which is called What is Bullying and How to Deal with It, so that you can see what it looks like. Let me just find it. Here it is. To access this lesson, you press the Edit Lesson option. So here you can see how this lesson is built. The question that I wanted to ask my students, plus some of the possible answers. On top of the page, you have a button called Lesson Information. When you've clicked on that, you see that you have a field where you can write a description, what this lesson is about and what the students are expected to do. Underneath that text field, you have another text field where you can type in or paste in a YouTube link. And this will allow you then to play a YouTube video before the start of the lesson. So you can either choose to show the whole video, or you can even choose to show part of it. So if you want to do that, you can set a start point and an end point for your video. Because maybe your video is 20 minutes long and you don't want to show all of it. Maybe you just want to show 5 minutes. So this is how you do it. You can also write keywords, which will then make it much easier for other teachers to find your lessons. Let's see what the lesson looks like when you play it. So first you close the browser app by clicking on the black snowflake icon in the lower left or right corner and choosing Close App. So then you want to click on the Lessons app instead. From here I can find my lesson by scrolling if it's further down. And once you've found it, you press the green play button. Now, as you can see, the video starts playing as soon as I've clicked on the lesson. But let's skip the video for now by tapping on the screen or clicking on this cross button. This is the activity I prepared for this specific lesson, and it is a lesson type called bugs. Each bug has the answer to a question on its back based on the YouTube video, and students need to click on the right answers. And like I said before, there is a description which students can read by clicking on the black snowflake icon and picking description. So this is what it looks like, and they can access it to find out what they're expected to do, for instance, in this activity, or what they are expected to learn. Another use for YouTube linked lessons is to promote critical thinking among your students. You can, for example, show a doctored video, that is a video that has been manipulated or falsified, and use the spinner lesson type to get a conversation going about if everything we see on the internet is true or not. Before we wrap up, I would like to show you a new feature included in the latest version of Snowflake MultiTeach called Education Level Switcher. This allows you to access the content and apps that are most relevant to the grades you teach. So let's have a quick look. This is the main screen for elementary level students. The apps displayed here are intended for younger kids, as you can see. So the favorite lessons are customized for that level. But by clicking on the snowflake icon on the bottom right or left corner and picking the education level switcher that is almost at the bottom of your menu, you can switch from elementary to secondary level of education. So you can see that it looks a little different. The background image, for instance, is different, but more importantly, the content here is customized for older kids. So you see that the favorites includes content that's more customized for the older kids, and even the bookmarks in the browser app are targeted towards the correct age group. So this makes it much easier for you to find the content that is most appropriate for the age group that you teach. And with that, we've come to the end of this presentation about how EdTech can help you start off the new school year on the right foot. To sum things up, I have talked about how you can make education more fun, creative and collaborative for students with EdTech, how EdTech can help you create a safe environment for your students in the beginning of the school year, and how you can create, organize, and share your lessons quickly and efficiently with EdTech. So now I have set aside a few minutes to answer some questions. And any questions you might think of later, you can send them to me by email. You can see my email address on the screen. So let's see what we have so far. Katie asks, does lessons online work on iPads and Chromebooks? My school has a mix of both, and most tools only supports either one of them. So yes, Katie, lessons online works both on iPads and Chromebooks. Megan wants to know how many lessons can I add to the lessons list? Hi Megan, well, there is no limit. You can add as many as you like. John asks, can kids use it as homework? Yes, kids can use lessons online to work on activities. So not only on the big touchscreen in the classroom, but they can also work on it at home on their own computer or tablet. Sue wants to know, will you be able in polls to see later who answered what, so you can evaluate individual learning? At the moment you can't, but we are working on further expanding the poll functionality, so it's coming. Terry wants to know, how is it possible to delete the unused or unnecessary polls? We are adding this functionality in the near future, so keep an eye on social media to find out when that will be available. Claire wants to know, can you track the results of individual students when sending them homework? Yes, Claire, you can. You can see how they are performing with lessons online, so take a look at that. Carl has sent us a question. Do you store sensitive information such as student social security numbers? No, we don't use such information about the students. We believe firmly in privacy. So if teachers enter a student email, then we store that, but otherwise we don't store any information about the students. So I think that's all the questions we have for now. And this concludes our webinar. I hope that you have found it useful. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you need more information, or to drop me a line about what you would like to see in a future webinar. Or maybe you have a suggestion on how to improve Snowflake. Let us know. Please take a look at our tutorials as well, which you can find at training.nuitec.com for more information on how to use the different lesson types and tools in Snowflake MultiTeach. You get a 60 days free trial when you download Snowflake MultiTeach from our website, so I encourage you to play with it and experiment and see what kind of lessons you can make and share them with others. Because by sharing your own lessons with other students, you help build the MultiTeach Lessons community, which is a platform where teachers all around the world upload their Snowflake MultiTeach lessons. At NUITEQ, we also have a team of people, including myself, that creates and uploads lessons that you can use. And that way, together, teachers can collaborate to save time and find quality content easily. So please visit our social media as well, where you can find tips like the ones I've talked about today, plus video tutorials and much more inspiration about how to use EdTech to enhance your teaching. Also, check out our award-winning YouTube channel, Ed on EdTech. Thank you so much for taking the time to participate in this webinar, and talk to you again soon.